Trump spending hours in the Situation Room with his national security team Friday as Israel and Iran launched additional missiles at one another. It's inevitable the U.S. will feel an economic impact from this conflict.
It's causing the cost of oil to skyrocket. Analysts say that U.S. gas prices are likely to climb higher, and that could start as soon as this week.
All right, guys, what's going on over there definitely has implications on us. We're not talking about gas inflation, diesel inflation. We're talking about possibly no fuel at all. Important information that may affect you coming right up. Hey guys, my name is Cohen here at Riverside Homestead, and if you're brand new here, welcome. And if you guys are into prepping tips, emergency preparedness, and most important, news and awareness that affects you, be sure to start this video off with a like, hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date, and let's begin. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. Please start this off with a like mentioned. If you guys appreciate these daily uploads that are informative and most likely will affect your life. So look, there's writing on the wall. This whole thing with Israel and Iran, this has implications on us whether the war gets outside of their area or not. Just a simple search on Google right there, gas prices about to go up. Article. The big question is are we gonna just be dealing with gas inflation, fuel inflation, diesel inflation? Or are we gonna be faced with complete straight up outages? Well, let's dig into the info. Right here in the politics of Iran news, Iranians are fleeing the capital as long lines form gas stations, while Israeli attacks could worsen the whole energy crisis. The thing is there's a huge factor. What is the Strait of Hormuz? Could it factor into Israeli-Iran conflict? It says Iran lawmakers say Tehran considering closing the waterway described as a world's most important oil transit choke point. And that, my friends, is a huge issue. So the question that's floating out there in all the media is, are we going to deal with fuel inflation, gas inflation, or no fuel at all? Folks, I'm talking about coast to coast, and I'm not talking about $5 gas. I'm not talking about $6 gas. I'm not talking about $7, $8 gas. I'm talking about going to that gas station and seeing those bags, which I know you guys remember seeing, going to the pumps during the last big episode and seeing that gas was not available. Not all of you are old enough to remember the fuel crisis in the 1970s. And I'm talking about long lines. I'm talking about fuel shortages. If you remember that, put it down in the comments. If that's what comes from this, are you guys prepared? The thing is things are happening. They're happening over there, and what it has is a trickle effect over to where we are. And what all these media sources are saying is that we're going to be the brunt of the effect when it comes to fuel shortages. If this thing gets worse, I'm talking about like the next 48 hours, we could start seeing the effect of gas price increase, gas inflation, all the way to bags over the pumps and fuel shortages. Look, folks, this has nothing to do with what we're doing here in the United States. This has everything to do with Israeli bombs flying, missiles flying, Iran return, Iran attacks, and fuel depots on fire. We ship out our oil, which might just irritate the crap out of you, and we import the stuff that we're supposed to use. It might be some huge big political ploy, but that's the way it works. That's why it's going to affect us. Pay attention where those fuel depots are and where the fires and the bombings are happening. So when this comes to Israel and Iran and what's going on and what Iran's planning on doing, they are seriously considering closing down the Strait of Hormuz, which will, like I said, it's a huge choke point and essentially will affect us all here in the United States. So if you guys are watching or paying attention to one thing, if that sucker closes down, you might want to be getting out the gas cans and heading to the gas station, if you know what I mean. By the way, this strait only 21 miles across. But here's the crazy thing. 1/5 of the world's oil, fuel comes from this strait. 1/5. Look, folks, the shipping lanes are only 2 miles away, and I'm talking about complete economic chaos. When I say 1/5 of the entire world's supply of oil coming through this spot daily, you need to know that this is something that the Iranians have been waiting for. They've got stuff in place, missile boats, and everything ready to lock this thing down because it's such a huge worldwide implication. And you know what? They don't need to sink ships. They don't need to fire missiles. All they have to do is stop this thing so that insurance companies refuse coverage. And when insurance companies refuse coverage, the oil stops moving. It's economics, it's political ploys. This is the way that the game is played. Real quick, so you guys understand. Put that in perspective, oil prices may climb to $300 per barrel due to escalation, Iraq's deputy PM. It says the continuation of the conflict in the region and closing of the Strait of Hormuz may lead to serious economic shocks, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Iraq, Fuad Hussein, said. Here's another one right here. Iraq warns of possible oil price surge to $300 per barrel. Now, do you guys know where the barrel price is right now? I think it's around $75 per barrel. So we talk about going from 75 to 300 plus per barrel. That's a 400% increase. But to put it in perspective, even if it doubled to $150 per barrel, that is the means of a full economic collapse. What comes from that for us? In America, we're gonna be swinging. Look guys, even more perspective right here. Fuel prices, Iran missile launched, the oil prices to $147 a barrel, which was a record in 2008. This caused havoc, and that was just $147 a barrel. That was the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, and that was just twice what we've got right now. So you know what that means? Every other country is building up their reserves right now because they see the writing on the wall. And I'm talking about China, and I'm talking about other countries, even Russia. Russia has their own restraints due to the tariffs. So tell me down in the comments, do you guys think Iran, is this some big, huge political game? Which I know some of us think that, and may have to do with surging prices and dropping prices. But there's also talk about Iran with their nuclear development full steam ahead. So I'm reading at least 14 Iranian nuclear scientists have been done by Israel since Friday, sources say, which means every one that goes down, the more restraint they're going to put on this chokehold. Israel says Sharon oil depot targeted in Israeli attack. This is what I'm talking about. They are targeting this because this is a huge chess play. Right here you can see Israeli attacks on oil and gas facilities. Israel has struck multiple key Iranian energy facilities, including the South Pars gas field, the world's largest, as well as the Fajarn gas plant that processes the fuel. Tehran's Sharon oil depot was also hit. These things are getting targeted on purpose. When this type of stuff happens, prices explode. And the reason I say that is because this has happened before. So with this, America brings in about 6 million barrels per day. And you know what we have on hand? 2 to 3 days worth. So the reason that this is so impactful, we run on razor thin variables. I'm talking about the slightest variables have the hugest impacts on price. And in this particular situation, availability. And that's just us driving around. Think about diesel. Diesel's affected as well. Think about everything that goes from place to place by semi-truck in this country. Diesel prices go up, or even worse, diesel shortage, and how that affects everything that we do. Everything that we do. When those tanks go dry, or even the price even starts to climb, these companies on thin margins, they file bankruptcy. And here's the thing, when prices hit $200-300 per barrel, gas prices are going to double overnight. And you know what naturally happens is people start panic buying. People go to the gas station, they're filling up gas cans, they're filling up all their reserves, diesel, gas, and that's when pumps run dry and you start seeing those yellow red bags right over the pumps because there's nothing left. I'm talking about gas stations that normally get shipments every 2 to 3 days go completely bone dry in a matter of hours. Do you guys see how this could be a supply chain crisis? I mean, we're talking about grocery stores now not getting their shipments. The inflation that we would see goes across the board. Grocery stores not getting shipments. Amazon drivers can't affording fuel or don't have it. Airlines canceling flights. It is a downward spiral. Now, do I say this is going to happen? No, but this is what's flashing all over media with all the current events that have actually happened and the warnings that are taking place that are a real and applicable concern. Oh, and also to add to that, do you guys realize that some of these power plants run off of natural gas, also causing power to go up in price? Like I said, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but I can tell you that there's writing writing on the wall to create concern. So if this is something that you want to prepare for it. Am I saying panic buy? No, I'm saying get the tanks out and pay attention to see how things change. If that strait shuts down, yeah, you better get what you need. Anyway, just bringing you guys important information that affects you as always. If you appreciate this type of stuff, please hit the like button. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date. I've got a couple other videos that they slowed the roll on because there's some good information they don't want you to know. And know that I got a lot more coming down the pipe. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing. We'll see you on the next one.